So this guy wants to collect orders from customers. Currently they collect them from email, and that's laborious and slow, and they want to put up a quick form and automate some of that process. So let's do that. Let's just create a new directory for the project. We'll go into that project. Oops, make directory project. I'm not using any magical tools here because I don't want to confuse matters with overcomplicating. So all we're going to do is just normal Python, and we're going to use the VNV module and create a virtual environment for that. And we're going to create a form which has products that people select, and that's all. It's just to whet your appetite to how quick you can make this thing. Why don't you just use something like some sort of website builder? Sure, go ahead, but the moment you want to try and automate things and lift the carpet and decide what you actually want to automate and own, build an asset, there's trade-offs either way. So let's do a simple pip install Flask, because Flask is used for web applications in Python community. There's also Django, there's others to choose from. Flask is particularly good for quick applications to get started very quickly. And in fact, if I just open up Chrome, there'll be a nice quick start on the home page which we can copy and paste. So we'll do the Flask quick start, because I'm cautious that we need to get something on page really quick, just to show the sense of progress that you can get so quickly with this. I'm just going to split the screen as well, so we can have the code on the left and the application running on the right. So I'm going to create a app.py, and from here I'm literally read the docs. So I'm going really quickly, but that's because I've read the docs many times and made loads of mistakes and continue to make loads of mistakes, and then I find the answer to the thing that I need right in front of my eyes on the documentation. What videos don't show you is all of that pain of learning this stuff. So we've got an application that says when users go to the home page, present hello world. What we're going to do is present a form. So to run the application, I think I've installed Flask. I can't quite remember we did that. Yeah, we did. So Flask run, and what's it saying? Port 5000 is already used. That's because I'm already using port 5000 for a different application. So we'll use 5001. There we go. Copy selection. And if I go now to, we've got hello world. Great. Now we want a form. Where do we go? So teach someone to fish, right? A form. A great place to go when you want to learn how to do anything is a Mozilla Developer Networks, MDN, Mozilla Developer Web Docs, I think it's called. And we want to do a form. So this is a good, useful place that's up to date to do simple forms. So demo form, attributes. Okay, is that still loading? Great, it's still loading. So we've got enter your name. Again, read the documentation, but I'm going to be a little bit quick for the video to show just how quick we can throw something together. So Flask has this concept of templates. Okay, Flask templates, where you have to create a template documentation, a template folder, and it explains it all here. So I've gone to flaskpalettes.com, flaskpaletsproject.com/tutorial to templates, and it explains all of this. But simply, you're just creating directories. So inside my project directory, I'm going to create a folder called templates. Notice that I misspelt that already. ES, and I'm going to go into my templates directory, and I'm going to say, hey, I'd like to create a homepage. Whoops, I'm just going to paste it nicely. There we go, and then I'm going to say from Flask import render template. How do I know that? Because I've read the documentation. It's really short. I'm rushing because I just want to show the fastest time, but if you see somewhere on here, we got render template. There we go, and there's the example right there. It tells you exactly what to do. So instead of hello world, which is quite boring, we're going to say, hey, please render the template. And what did I call it? Index.html. I think that comes back from the days of books that would have an index, and index is the first page. Cool. So let's refresh. Do we see what we want? No, we don't. Why? Because we've not got debug mode turned on. What does debug mode do? It automatically refreshes when we've changed it. Flask, and I didn't spell something correctly. So what I saw there out of the corner of my eye was the error here, no module named Flask, because I've not put the word Flask correctly. So I'm going to quickly fix that. Whee! There we go, Flask running, and let's start that up. Again, good, we're running. Well, hey, we've got another error. Hello world did not return a valid response. Let's have a look. Keyword there was return, did not return. I mean, again, if you look at the docs which are here, notice how they have, where's that render template gone? Render template, I think on the home page. Notice how they've got the word return. Return is very important. It means, hey, return this thing to the program that's asked for it. Yay, we've got a form, there we go. So you can see now we're building up the order form. Doesn't look much like an order form, but of course that won't take long either. So let's do that. So I'm just going to do some HTML to get that sorted out. Again, where do I go for HTML? MDN, HTML, so that's just a general, and we want a title, so maybe title. They're actually called headings in HTML. A title is referred to the tab, so we want headings. So here we go, and it gives you a good explanation of all of the headings. So we're going to put like an order form heading together. So I'm just going to I'm jumping between these different three windows we've got here. That's what's going on. So if we go GG, good game, back to the top, and I'd like to jump down. What's going on here? Let's make this, and we'll say, hey, I'd like to say H1 order form. I know what you're thinking, this isn't very pretty, we'll come to that, but just because I can't wait, we'll say the next thing to learn is style, because we want some style, and the first thing that people want to get rid of is this old form style. Again, like, what is this? This is called CSS. What do? Mozilla Developer Network, CSS. And there we go, we've got a fantastic resource there that's completely open and free. Thank you, Mozilla, for working with CSS. But the easy and cheap way to do it is to, well, no easy cheap way. Read the documentation, font, read a book, font family, and we'll say sans serif. And there's a whole beautiful world out there about fonts and kerning and foundries and how fonts become to be. And there we go, we've got some sort of more rounded sans serif, because the serifs, sans means without. So there we go. And just like most programmers spend their day doing is reading code. So we probably do actually want to have the name and email, because that's the customer, and then we probably want to say, hey, we've got a selection of. We don't want to subscribe. We want to order. Maybe we want to say like confirm order, and then we can get more complex, like reviewing the order and things like that. So there we go, and we want to select now various. So for all of the products, we want to create a selection, and inside a selection, there are of course options. And how do I know how to do that? Again, MDN, select. And here we go, we have an example of how to do them. So they have, the select menu has options. The top one is quite useful, because that means that they have to select something, which is often what you want in these sorts of applications. I'm being quite careful with my alignment here to make sure that it's readable. I'm going to maximize it a little bit so we can see what's going on. Please choose an option, and so for this we will say option, although we might actually want checkboxes, because you can do checkboxes as well, but there's only so much I can fit into one video. And this will be, oh, I don't know, this is a silly example, but I would like some ham, and the value is ham, and the name is ham. You see where this is going. So now we've got an option which has ham, and oh my gosh, there's no spacing. How could I possibly put some spacing between those? We can say, a really quick way to do this would be to say, for every input, I would like to have a margin, this is going to look horrible, of, I'm so sorry, for every input, I would like to put a margin around them So like a margin, like, you know, at school when you had a margin on the left hand side, but like put a margin all the way around everything of, say, something largish, fix 20 pixels, refresh, and now that we've got some spacing. Obviously that's horrible. What people do if you're retro is to bootstrap CSS, and you can see there's some form examples here which basically make everything look beautiful with very little effort. So I'm going to quickly wrap that in and put that in here. I'm also going to tidy up the bootstrap. What do I mean by that? There's a lot of information you're supposed to put in here to tell the web browser like Internet Explorer, Firefox, to say, hey, this is a HTML file, and this helps the web browsers kind of understand what the heck's going on when you're sending them all this data. If you imagine you're the web browser, this gives the web browser some structure. And if I just get it started with this and put in the, as I say, max CDN, this is just quicker, this will get the CSS that other people have written for us that we can use for making our site look a little better. So what it's doing, it's saying, hey, get all of that CSS that someone else has written. I quite like to use it and bring it into my web application. And off we go. Going to refresh the page. It will start to look a little bit different already. Ta-da! There we go. I'm going to take out that horrible spacing that I did, which is the input, and refresh. And we will put a bit of layout together. This is quickly becoming a CSS tutorial, which it's not supposed to be, but I will do a little bit of layouts. I'm trying to find, so bootstrap, because obviously Google is better at search than internal search. Bootstrap layout is what we want. Layout bootstrap 5. Do I even have bootstrap 5? Yes, because I'm looking at that number 532. And here we go. I want to get started. Introduction, because there's a layout sort of overview that I'm looking for. It's basically a div to contain everything, and off the top of my head I can't remember what it is, but just to get something reasonably, here we go, this is the starter template, blah 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 blah. We've already got this, we've already got that, we've already got this, we've not got that, and then then we need to go into the layouts, which is here, and we want a container for our page, because it's all sort of like sliding on the left at the moment, and that's a bit nasty. So we want to put it center it. Hell, there we go. Why could I not remember that? Div class, and it's just container, and then within that container we're going to put some rows. Are they still called rows? They might have not. I might have stopped calling them rows. Right, I'm going to stop with CSS for now, apart from the forms, because Bootstrap comes with some nice forms. Here we go. So we'll say class, and it's a form label, and it's a form control. This will just nicen it up a little bit. So we'll say input. Is it on the input? So I'm looking for, yes, it's on the input. Form control. Input class equals form control. This gets a little bit repetitive. You can automate it, of course, but where do you want to stop? And any more inputs? Yes, there's one here. Class equals form control, and there's the select as well. Let's see how that one is. Again, reading the documentation, and that has a class of form select. Where is select? Class equal class equals form select. I hope this is recorded and I don't find out that it's all silent. Whoa, that's a lot bigger than I want. Let's make that less big. Actually, no, I'll leave it like that for now, because time. Let's leave it there, but you can see how you've brought something together, and we want to, let's actually do a submission actually. So we'll say Fred, email, fred@example.com, choose an option, ham. Obviously we want to store that and then store in a database somewhere. So let's do the storing. Here we go. So that's the submission, and in programming, web programming, that's called like a post request. So we're going to store that, and of course in documentation there's a post request. So we can say, here we go, method post, and we'll say method post So what this is saying is, once they post something, we want to try and save the order. And we're just going to return thanks for now, just to show that that's, test really that that's working. So unexpected keyword argument method. Is that because the keyword is not method and it's methods? No, it's method, request contract, methods. There we go, that's what I should have done. It's methods, not method singular, and it's an array, which means a list. So here we're saying, when they go here and it's a post method, run this piece of code, whereas this by default is just the get. So it's like when they're getting that home page, do something with it. So if we go back to the home page, fill out some information. I used the Google Chrome extension to help me with that. And there we go. It's not actually doing a post because we need to do one little change in our form. It's something called the method. So the method, we're going to change that to post, and we'll see that they won't, the values won't go in the URL anymore. They'll get posted in the background. So we'll press confirm and we see thanks, of course. And now here, in this piece of code is where we can go to town doing whatever we want to save that order, save the order, maybe before we save it, validate what they want, ask follow-up questions, etc, etc, etc. And we might want to send an email, all sorts of different things. The world is our oyster because we've got within that piece of code all of the data that they have sent us, which we can find here. So here we go. So we can get request method and we can say request form. What I'll do now is I'll just print it back. So I'll say, it's a little bit silly because it was just echoing back request.form data. That might be possible to send back. No, what we can send back is, let's say, just the name. So we'll say the name and we'll send that back because that will be accessible. Form data has no attribute data, request form data. Let's see how it's doing it in the docs. Dot form data request dot get form. Let's see. Come on, keep the pace up. Here it is. Request.form. There we go. Not data. Got to put too much information in. It's less code than I thought we needed. So that's just going to echo back the name that they submitted, which is in this case Ginger Armstrong. But of course, rather than just sending it back, we could say something like thanks for your order. And then we've got their name from there. And off we go. So now it says thanks for the order. Obviously we could use those title tags to make it a little bigger. We could use some CSS to make it look more pretty. And you're in complete control to do any business logic that you want here. So just send an email, talk to ChatGPT, find out how to do the rest, and off you go. Let's stop that video.